Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So if you've been here for a while, you'll know that I do like clowning on Cosmopolitan because it's just trash. I'm not really gonna be clowning on them like I usually do. I actually came across this story or like this first-hand account of a relationship that started really well and then the person ended up being low-key terrible. As much as I don't want people to have terrible experiences, I find it very interesting to read about those terrible experiences because I think there's something to be gained from seeing, you know, what happens with other people so you can then spot your own red flags. I might make a jab at Cosmopolitan here and there, but the person who had to deal with this went through some shit, so we're not making fun of them. Before we get into this video, a quick thank you to our sponsor, Luisa Jewelry. Luisa is all about environmental consciousness, sustainability, and quality. In fact, since cheap breakable jewelry is rarely recycled, it's a huge waste for the environment. For this reason, Luisa's products come from the same jewelers as Tiffany's and Louis Vuitton. On top of this, Luisa offers a complimentary 1-year warranty on every purchase. As of right now, Luisa is running an exclusive sale for Black Friday where you can get up to 25% off, and the link will be included in the description. As you guys can see, I'm wearing 3 gold necklaces that all come from Luisa. I like stacking necklaces. You guys might have noticed that I tend to stack them, mainly because I like dainty little pieces that you can add up, and especially because I wear all black tendentially, it's a nice way to change things up without having to really put in all that much effort or all that much work. It's just simple and pretty. Thank you again to Luisa Jewelry for sponsoring this video. Alright, so this story is titled, "My love life was like an IRL rom-com until I had to call the police on my love bombing ex." Now, if you're anything like me, you don't even know what the hell love bombing is, so we're gonna find out. I'm a sucker for a rom-com. That moment when Randall Park asks to hold Ali Wong's purse on the red carpet and always be my maybe, or into All the Boys I've Loved Before when Noah Centineo asks Lana Condor if she's still in love with that Bon Iver wannabe. I live for that shit. IRL, not so much. A month or so after I'd moved out and ended my 2-year relationship, I came home to find an envelope slipped under my door. My ex-boyfriend had written me a love note and included a ticket for the observation deck at the top of the Empire State Building for 10 p.m. that Friday. Total Peter Kavinsky move, right? Yeah, no. It was more like a continuation of the manipulation Jack had been deploying since the beginning of our relationship. I don't know if I'm just out of touch or if I'm not watching the right movies, but I'm not getting any of these references. Like, I don't know if I'm stuck in my 90s rom-coms because those are the ones I enjoy, but I have no fucking clue what any of this is referring to, so that's cool. You know all the things you do when you first start dating someone? Multiply that by 1,587, give or take. I'm talking compliments, affection, attention, over-the-top dates, and expensive gifts. He constantly told me I was the most beautiful woman in the world. He started calling in sick to work regularly in order to spend the whole day with me. He'd casually drop hundreds of dollars on dinners and drinks. For my birthday, just a couple of months in, he bought me a first edition of my favorite book as a child, The Secret Garden, and had it professionally restored, which he gave me while we were on an overseas vacation after the private dinner on the beach flanked by rose petals. Very subtle stuff here. Then, once I was hooked, he flipped. What was once a gift became leverage. "What have you ever given me, Kathleen?" he'd demand, comparing the amount he'd spent on me to what I, with my considerably smaller budget, had spent on him. If he thought I had taken too long to text him back, wasn't giving him enough physical attention, or wasn't in the mood for sex, he'd punish me by freezing me out. Once he made me sleep on the couch for a week after I participated in a group hug at a New Year's Eve party. So I don't necessarily want to blame Kathleen because when you're in a relationship, it can sometimes be really hard to notice what's toxic, especially once you're kind of used to someone doing that to you. I'm speaking from experience. Sometimes you need someone outside to be like, that's not fucking normal, to kind of wake up. So I'm not blaming her. That being said, I would be so overwhelmed if someone were so just over the top. I feel like, especially when you begin dating someone, and this might just be my perspective, you guys can let me know down below. I feel like I'm very much on edge, mainly because it's anxiety inducing. I never really enjoyed dating because of the anxiety it gave me, but I feel like I would be really freaked out if someone became so kind of attached and like was being so over the top. It would just stress me the fuck out because it would feel like they're maybe taking it a little bit too seriously compared to me. I don't know, I guess if both people are that intense, maybe it would work, but if it's just one person, I feel like they're just gonna freak the other person out. Over the next 2 years, a pattern emerged. One day he would plan an elaborate date full of meaningful romantic moments. The next he would go through my phone and accuse me of lying to him about everything from my sexual history to my anxiety disorder. One day I was the love of his life, the next he was threatening to kick me out of our apartment. According to experts, Jack's extravagant declarations and gifts at the start of our relationship is textbook love bombing. Ramani Durvasula, PhD, an expert on narcissism and relationships, says love bombing happens when everything happens too fast, like immediately spending every moment together, texting nonstop, or going on elaborate vacations way too soon. A love bomber might say, I've never felt a connection like this with anyone, which is manipulative because it's heavy-handed. Virginia Gilbert, a psychotherapist specializing in sex and love addiction, says love bombing is often accompanied by other manipulation techniques like gaslighting, where a person makes you doubt your own reality. Jack, for example, would sometimes insist I'd been lying to him, offering up evidence that proved I was deceitful. Eventually he would say, well, this is my perception of reality and it's just as real as yours. How can you say your reality is right and mine is wrong? Sometimes it was just easier to apologize so we could move on. Other times I really started to doubt my own memory. I never wanted to invalidate his feelings, so I always tried to see things from his perspective, which soon became the only perspective that mattered. But I still loved him and truly believed he loved me. It's hard to tell whether his Empire State Building move was just more manipulation or if it was a sincere gesture of love. I mean, if I were, I don't know, Rachel McAdams, I would have gone to the Empire State Building to meet him and then we'd probably get engaged while tourists applauded. That's so cute, friends who didn't know the details would say when I told them about the note. But it was not cute. My ex-boyfriend had taken an Uber to my apartment where I lived alone and slipped an emotional ultimatum under my door while I was inside. Yikes. The amount of red flags here. The thing about gaslighting that fucks me up, and this is a personal note, so I'm not saying it applies to everyone, but I know that because of my panic disorder, I sometimes can kind of give in to certain delusions. Like, not entirely, like I'll still be aware I'm being irrational, but I'll have delusions. And so I feel like, especially if you have an issue like that, I don't know how it would be with her anxiety disorder, but just thinking of me with my panic disorder, I feel like if someone really wanted to take advantage of me, they probably could in some ways get away with it if they learned how to get around my mental illness, because I feel like self-doubt is a thing I already deal with. So I don't know if that's something she deals with, but I feel like that makes it a lot scarier, because it is very scary to feel like you're losing your grasp on reality. I've had that happen to me and it sends me into full swing panic because, you know, if you don't understand or if you can't have a grasp on reality, it's almost like everything you think you know, you don't know, and it's just disgusting when someone tries to manipulate that and make you feel like everything you thought was wrong. I don't know, that just gives me anxiety to think about. I didn't go to the Empire State Building, but he didn't stop. He sent me texts, emails, Instagram DMs, wherever I hadn't blocked him, calling me heartless and a slut and offering vague threats, including suicide. Eventually, about 3 weeks later, he showed up at my apartment, drunk, at 4 a.m. I let him in and at one point must have nodded off. I woke to find he went through my phone and saw I was dating someone new. He exploded and seized the pillow, which had, of course, come from the apartment we used to share. A man slept on my pillow, he shrieked, stealing the pillow and spitting his gum onto my floor for emphasis before storming out. A few days later, I came home to several boxes barricading my front door. They contained 6 pillows sent by Jack in apology. That's when I called the police. Okay, that is actually terrifying. First of all, I do think that there's something of like really creepy about someone trying to reach you on all platforms. And I know it might sound a little bit ridiculous because you can be like, just delete the message, just don't read it. But I feel like it would give me a sensation of anxiety to feel almost like someone was stalking me but online, so trying to get to you no matter what, even if you've made it clear that you don't want to have anything to do with them. This person just ticks all the red flags for me, especially because there were so many red flags with the whole thing of like, I got you this and you didn't get me that, kind of treating gifts like transactions or like love as transactions. 2 officers came and took down the details of what had happened and a report was filed. I was also given the number of a social worker who encouraged me to reach out with any questions or concerns and told me I could file for a restraining order at any time, even though he had not physically assaulted me because he had been an intimate partner. Jack never came back to my apartment, but I won't lie and say he stopped trying to win me back. I can't even tell you I wasn't once or twice tempted to let him back into my life. Durvasula says for people burned out by potential romantic partners, ghosting after a couple of dates or waiting weeks to text back The promise of unlimited attention can be intoxicating. The important thing is to recognize the manipulation for what it is. If the person you're dating seems larger than life, or it feels like the relationship is moving at hyperspeed, those are troubling signs and could be a reason to step back, Gilbert notes. So thankfully, I've never been in a specific love bombing situation. I've had some similar stuff happen, but not to this extent, thank God. But this is so creepy to me. I don't know what it is about partners who show up in the middle of the night or who are persistently showing up, like physically coming to where you live. It scares the shit out of me. Like, as much as getting all these emails, Instagram DMs, whatever might be overwhelming, the idea that someone does not see the boundary breaking of just showing up at your place consistently when you've said no, that scares the shit out of me, because as much as, like I said, DMs and all that can be annoying, breaking the physical boundary and just showing up to me makes it like they don't really understand at all that what they're doing is, first of all, terrifying, but second of all, just completely inappropriate. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I found this story interesting. Let me know if you guys have ever been love bombed or if you'd even heard of the term, because I know I hadn't. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always. Please remember to check out Luisa jewelry if you are so inclined. The link is in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching.